What's up guys, Trizzle Trey with TrizzTech&Electronix, and in today's video, I'm bringing you guys a pretty awesome comparison. Now in this comparison video, it's going to be a little bit different than other comparisons you've seen on YouTube. I'm trying to stay away from the tech specs a little bit in this video, and I'm going to give you more of my opinion, and more of the just straight up down to earth aspects of these devices. This is kind of targeted at almost anybody that's out there trying to choose between these three smartphones as their next personal smartphone. The three devices that we're talking about here are the Apple iPhone 5, the Google Nexus 4 from LG, and the Samsung Galaxy Note 2. Now, these are three of my favorite devices, and they're also three of the top-selling smartphones in the world. Now, I'm not going to touch too much on the tech specs, as I said. I'm going to kind of give you a little bit more of my personal insights, and then more of what the everyday person is interested in when they're purchasing a smartphone. So we're going to talk about build quality as the first part. And the second part is going to be the user interface and usability of the devices. And then the third one is going to be my personal opinion into which one of these three devices I think is the best and which one I choose. So let's get into it right now. We're going to start off with the iPhone 5 in this build comparison portion of this video. So what we want to talk about here is the build quality. Now, as you guys have seen before in previous videos, I absolutely love the quality of the build of the Apple iPhone 5. I think this is absolutely top notch, and it's probably one of the best put together smartphones out there, period, in my opinion. So it is a solid aluminum plate, pretty much. The entire thing is made of aluminum or aluminium, depending on where you are in the world. Here in the United States, it's aluminum. The top and bottom part are glass portions for the Wi-Fi and mobile antennas. If you look at these sides, the aluminum does wrap around to the sides on either side. The front is a 4-inch display and has glass going over the top of it, just as the iPhone 4 and 4S did, just doesn't have it on both sides. Now up on the top here, you have your sleep, wake, and power button, where all the buttons are made out of aluminum as well, which feels really good. They're not plastic, they are actual aluminum. And moving down the left-hand side, you have your mute switch right here, which you can flip down here to put on vibrate. You also have your volume rockers, which are separated into two separate buttons. If you continue down, there's nothing below that. On the bottom here is your your 3.5mm headphone jack, your microphone, your lightning port. They have done away with the 30-pin, as we've talked about before, on the iPhone 5, as well as any new iOS device. And then on this side, you have your speaker. Now if we move to the right hand side of the device, there is nothing really on here except for your SIM tray, which is about halfway up the device. And that pretty much does it all the way around. We move back to the back here. In the top glass part here, you do have an 8-megapixel 1080p shooting camera with an LED flash. But the quality is just awesome. Not too heavy, not too light, but it feels great in the hand. Now moving on to the Google Nexus 4's build quality. Also top notch. It is glass on the front and on the back, similar to the iPhone 4, 4S, as I talked about before. I'm not usually a huge fan of that. I really don't like the way a solid glass phone feels in the hand, especially if you've been using it for long periods of time. Your hands start to get sweaty and it's slippery. I really do not like that. But LG did counteract that a little bit with this. They added a little rubber ring that goes all the way around the device, which feels good in the hand. You can grip a hold of that, and it makes it so it's not quite as slippery. Here on the top, you have your 3.5mm headphone jack. Going down the left-hand side, you have your volume rocker here, which look aluminum-esque, but they are plastic. You go down farther, there is the SIM tray is right below that, and you keep going down, there's nothing. You move to the bottom, it has these two exposed screws. I'm not exactly sure what that's for, since the back is closed in for the battery, and there is no expandable memory. And then you move over to, or in the middle of that, you have your micro USB port for charging and your microphone. Now if we moved to the right hand side of the device, it's that rubber coating as I talked about, and you have your sleep wake power button here at the top, which is also made of that fake aluminum, the plastic aluminum I guess you want to call it. Now if we move over to the back of the device, the back has this awesome digital kind of look. It has these little dots that I talked about in my review video of the Nexus 4. It's really cool. It looks kind of digital camo-esque. As you see here, you also have your 8-megapixel rear-facing camera, shoots in 1080p, LED flash. You have some Nexus branding, some LG branding, and a little tiny speaker grill over here, which is absolute crap in my opinion. But all in all, it's not too heavy. It's about the same weight as the iPhone 5, but it is bigger. It does have a 4.7-inch display. which is absolutely awesome. I think this is probably the perfect size in a smartphone, in my opinion. Now moving on to the third one of these in this comparison video, we have the Samsung Galaxy Note 2, which is the absolute monstrosity of a smartphone, or phablet if you would like to call it that. And its build quality is not nearly as top notch as the other two because it is a completely solid piece, or solidly plastic. There is nothing on here that isn't plastic. The one cool thing about this is that it does have a detachable back, so you can pull it off for your 3100 milliamp hour battery. You could exchange that for a different one. It also has expandable memory. It is a 16 gigabyte version, but it can be up to 64 gigabyte micro SD card in here, as well as a micro SIM card in there as well. It is the only one of the three of these phones that has expandable memory. The iPhone you can either get in 16, 32, or 64 gigabyte sizes. And the Nexus 4 you can either get in 8 or 16 gigabytes. So this one is pretty cool that it starts off at 16 gigs, but you can expand it up to almost as much as you want. It does still feel very good in the hand, and in my opinion is the lightest of these three phones, even though it has a 5.5-inch screen, so it is considerably bigger than either of the other two. But it feels lighter in the hand if you put them side by side with each other. I mean, they're similar, but it still does feel a little bit lighter, even lighter than the iPhone 5, and it is 1.5 inches bigger in the display, so it is considerably larger. And we look at the top, it has your 3.5 millimeter headphone jack on the top, as well as a secondary microphone. If we move down to the left, you have pretty much the same looking volume rocker and that fake aluminum look. The plastic as that was on the Nexus 4 is also here on the Samsung Galaxy Note 2. It's very similar. You continue going down the side of the Note 2, there's nothing there. You move down to the bottom and you have your microphone, your micro USB port for charging, as well as your S Pen, which is on here too. You can pull that out from the bottom, which is pretty cool. Then we move on to the right hand side of the device. There's nothing on here until the very top where your sleep wake power button is located. It's that same plastic material that was on the Nexus 4, as well as on the other side with the volume rocker. So that's pretty much all the way around your Note 2. It's not nearly the build quality is not nearly as good as the other two, but it still does feel solid. The other thing that I like about that is that it being plastic. The coolest thing about it is that when it does fall or hit the ground or fall out of your pocket or you drop it, it seems to hold up a little bit better than the other two because it's not made of these top quality materials that just aren't that protective. I mean, the Nexus 4 is made solidly of glass. Now we're going to move on to user interface and usability. We're going to go back to the iPhone 5 here. I personally think that this one is the easiest one of the three to deal with. I think it's the easiest one to learn because it's just hasn't changed since 2007. So iOS is still the same, even though they're all the way up to iOS 6 now. It's still the same as it was when it launched in 2007. The concepts, the way it looks, everything is the same. Sure, there are some new advanced tweaks and little things that have changed since 2007, obviously, but it still looks and feels almost the same, which is a pretty big downfall to me. I think that that's not very good at all. But the learning curve on it is very, very easy once you pick it up. It's very easy to learn, and you can grasp that concept very quickly. Especially if you are new to using a smartphone, I would definitely recommend going with an iPhone if you are trying to learn an interface much easier than Android or even Windows Phone 8. Now moving on to the Nexus 4. This is running Android's Jelly Bean 4.2, which is the newest version of Android, and it's running a stock Android. There's no skin running over the top of it, as we talked about in the review video. And I personally think it's awesome. It's running Project Butter. It's so unbelievably smooth and snappy and awesome. It is more designed for the power user because there's so many things that you can tweak and ROM and move around. So it is designed for the geek, but it doesn't have to be. Any average user can pick this up and pretty much get the feel for it right away because there's no added stuff on it anywhere. It's just what you see is what you get. So it is really good. It's probably the best operating system of any smartphone that I've had so far. I think it's absolutely awesome. Stock Android 4.2 Jelly Bean is just absolutely amazing. Now moving on to the Samsung Galaxy Note 2, it is rocking Android's 4.1 Jelly Bean, and it's running TouchWiz Nature UI from Samsung over the top of it. So it is a skinned version of Android, and I'm actually running a Novo launcher over the top of that right now, so it does give it a feel more like stock Android. Some of the TouchWiz applications and tweaks and stuff that they have in here are pretty cool. All of these skinned versions of Android. I think TouchWiz is the best one, and you can tweak it with Novo Launcher and a couple of other launchers. They really do make it feel like stock Android without having to actually mod your phone or ROM it or whatever. So it does look pretty good. It feels good. I do really like it. Now we're going to move on to my personal opinion. Now I love all three of these devices. I think they're all top-notch devices. I really do like them all. The iPhone 5 was my daily driver for months, since September when it released, all the way up until about a month ago. It was my daily driver. I absolutely love the phone, but it's not my favorite. If we're going to go with your top specs and just how snappy it is and how awesome, I would have to pick the Nexus 4. This is not the one that I'm picking personally, but I think that this is the biggest powerhouse of all three of these devices, is the Nexus 4. It is probably the fastest, most snappy phone I've ever used, whether it's been my personal phone or a phone that I've reviewed. It's absolutely awesome. The only downfall it has is that it's lacking LTE, and that just kills it for me. That is a complete deal breaker. So my favorite phone and the one that I would pick of these three is the Samsung Galaxy Note 2, which is actually my current daily driver right now. It pulled me away from the iPhone, and it has been the only phone to do that since I became an iPhone user a couple of years ago. The Note 2 is absolutely awesome. I love the phablet-esque look. It's awesome. I could not say enough good things about this device. Sure, it's big, and sure, it does look a little awkward when you're on the phone, you're talking to people. I do get a lot of questions about this when I'm out in public and I'm on the phone. People come up to me and ask me how I like my Galaxy Note 2, which is awesome because everybody knows what it is. They can just spot it and know exactly what this device is. That's the first of any cell phone I've ever had. People just know what it is. It's awesome. I love it, and I would definitely recommend it to anybody. The learning curve is a little bit more than the iPhone 5 or the Nexus 4 in my opinion, but once you pick it up, I honestly do not see myself going back. I'm really excited for the Samsung Galaxy S4 and the Note 3 to release later on this year. We will see what happens at Mobile World Congress here in about 2 weeks. But I absolutely love this phone, and as of right now, this is still my daily driver, and I don't see anything pulling it away from that right now. As you guys saw on the channel, I did recently jailbreak my iPhone 5, and I did think for a little while that this may pull me back to the iPhone 5 just so that I could give it a little bit of a taste test and a workout. But the truth is, I have my iPad mini and other things that I can still use all the jailbreak tweaks with. So I don't know if it's going to pull me back. I just love the open interface, the open source, just the all-around goodness of the Galaxy Note 2 just keeps me there. I absolutely love it. So in my opinion, the Galaxy Note 2 is the best of these three devices. So I really do hope that you guys enjoyed this video and that this comparison was helpful for you. I know it was a little bit different than any comparison you guys have probably seen on YouTube before, but that was the idea of this video. So if you enjoyed it, definitely give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the TrizzTech&Electronix channel if you have not done so yet. There's a whole lot more tech content coming towards you guys as we speak. We have some more devices coming in. We have the BlackBerry Z10 coming in. We have the Sony Xperia Z. Seems like the year of Z cell phone or smartphones. But we have those coming in, so you're definitely going to be excited for those. As I said, keep it locked on the TrizzTech&Electronix channel. We've got a lot more stuff. We've got some gaming content coming in from eDubs. We've got stuff everywhere. So keep it locked, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care, guys. Peace.